Hello, everybody. This is my first time presenting a community call, but I have been here a few times. My name is Sari. I'm the new community manager, taking over for Dan now that he's in the dev part of R&D. So let me just share my screen. We'll get this started. Cool. Can everybody see the slideshow?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about Regen in the marketplace, since it is now an allowed currency. We're going to talk about the Cosmos Zero campaign, which has been around for a little while, but kicking off in new earnest this week. Ryan is going to talk about Regen Ledger 5.0. And then Dan's going to talk a little bit about the Validator Form, I think, and then governance updates, and then market and liquidity per usual. Okay, so Regen, now an allowed currency. Since Prop 20 passed, Regen can now be used for buying and selling eco credits in the marketplace. It's not just used for fees now. Not every project has eco credits for sale in Regen, but Sandy Cross, Harvey Manning, and Buena Vista all do. If you haven't checked that out yet, now is the perfect time. It's going to be way easier to buy than it was before, since you don't have to bridge assets necessarily to make purchases. If you haven't bought anything yet, I would definitely check out the buyer's guide, since it does provide like kind of all the way through explanation of how to buy and sell. Sorry, I can't see the chat. Oh, Dan's sharing links. Thank you. Okay. Cool. Wait, sorry. Any questions about that? It's pretty straightforward, I feel like. All right. All right, then the Cosmos Zero campaign. Yeah, so this has been around for about a year now. It launched in October of 2021. But obviously now with the Regen marketplace and the newly coming NCT token, there are new opportunities for Cosmos ecosystem protocols to purchase and retire their eco credits like directly within the Cosmos ecosystem, which is really rad. So the R&D ecosystem team is kind of taking this on with renewed vigor this week, reaching out to protocols who have shown interest previously, now that we have buy and sell options. We also put out this really great handbook, which is just a really gorgeous explanation of what Cosmos Zero is and how to participate in it. We have governance proposal templates, so really a lot of the work has been done for you if you're interested in taking this to a protocol that you validate for or are involved with. Sorry, go ahead, Pete. Oh, sorry.
Sounds like maybe he was just had a open mic.
Sneezing into the mic.
I think, well, yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah. So there'll be a lot more coming out from us on this in the weeks that follow, I think. So stay tuned. Okay. Oh, yeah. And then congratulations to all the protocols who have already started this work and purchased eco credits, which includes Checked, Stargaze, IXO, and Osmosis. Or maybe not purchased, but are on the path to. Anyways, they're there. Okay, Regen Ledger, Ryan.
Cool, thank you, Sari. And apologies in advance, I'm a little stuffed up. I'm hopefully cleared out enough that I'm not too nasally at the moment, but Regen Ledger 5.0 coming soon. So we in 4.0, we really focused on updating and getting up to speed on all of our Regen Ledger specific features. Could I go back to the previous slide? Yeah, as far as like Regen Ledger 5.0 and kind of context setting a little bit, like this is an upgrade mostly set and focused on updating to the latest version of Cosmos SDK, version V046. And this upgrade includes a lot of new features and improvements. A little bit less focused on like Regen Ledger specific functionality in terms of this upgrade. But we're really excited to get over the finish line and kind of do some iterating on Regen Ledger specific features once we've kind of caught ourselves back up to the Cosmos ecosystem and the latest features available in the SDK and IBC. So we've started the internal auditing process. It's underway. we're hoping to open up a discussion here this week for the software upgrade proposal on the governance forum as like a soft open community discussion prior to that proposal actually going on chain. We tagged a beta release earlier this week and it started the testing and auditing process and spun up a DevNet using that beta release. And we're currently working through the internal audit and we'll be providing a Validator upgrade guide as well as a developer migration guide. Everything that you'll normally see. The migration guide will come out hopefully this week to prepare application developers building on top of Regen, bring awareness around the breaking changes that are included, which actually shouldn't be too many. It should be relatively minor in terms of efforts in terms of application developers updating the latest version. And then also right now, target release date, I kind of threw this on here as a rough estimate of November 28th through December 1st. So after the American Thanksgiving holiday week, hopefully we can have something ready that week, but this is subject to change. The real goal is really just to have this up and running before the end of the year. So next slide, please. So new features included, like as I mentioned, this is more based on Cosmos SDK and IBC features that are available. So first off is the group module. The group module was originally developed as a custom module within Regen Ledger, and it migrated over to the SDK because the SDK community saw this as a very valuable module to make available to other application developers. But essentially what this does is enable this on-chain multi-sig accounts that allows for execution of messages through a voting process, a decision policies created for a group account, and then the messages are executed based on the decision policy with different thresholds in terms of like percentage of members that are voting on something. And this is non-token weighted voting, which is a really exciting new addition to the Cosmos ecosystem. So we're excited to start experimenting and playing around with this. One of the earliest use cases that you can start thinking about too is like in terms of management of credit classes and management of projects. All of the admin roles within these entities on chain could essentially be a group account. And so you start seeing the DAOification in the organization around the management of different entities on in the Regen Ledger ecosystem. So we're really excited about that. In addition, interchain accounts and fees. So we've updated to the latest version of the SDK, including the latest version of IBC. And we basically implemented this host and controller module setup that allows for the cross-chain message execution. Everything will be have to go through a governance process in terms of enabling the controller module and host module, as well as like which messages can be called on Regen from other chains that have enabled interchain accounts. But we're really excited about this. You can start thinking about like the cross-chain retirement, like retiring credits on Regen from an account on a different Cosmos chain that's implemented the host and or I guess the controller module in this case. One of the leaders also in terms of pushing forward on this feature set is the Gravity Bridge team. So you can start thinking about interesting interoperability between Gravity Bridge and Regen via the cross-chain message execution with interchain accounts. So really excited about that. Also, Cosmos SDK included improvements around the governance proposals. Basically, this is like message-based governance proposals. So this is going to be one of the bigger changes. Not so much in concern for application developers that are building with Regen Ledger specific functionality, but in terms of like the governance process and submitting proposals, it's message-based governance proposals now. So all of those governance proposals will be going through an upgrade process where it will be slightly different parameters. But one thing to think about in relation to the message-based governance proposal, this is kind of built out alongside the addition of the group module. And there's potential for certain protocol parameters or network parameters to be actually voted upon and updated through a group account rather than as a network-wide vote. And within the context of Regen, you can start thinking about like, okay, well, the addition of a new credit type, is this something that the validator community and the network token holder community needs to vote on? Or is this like a science community that has been granted that permission through a network-wide vote to be the holders and updaters, managers of certain parameters on chain. So we haven't actually implemented any of that kind of functionality in 5.0, but we're starting to think about how that would play into future governance on Regen Ledger. Okay, next slide, please. And more changes. These are all pretty minor, but just people following along like the SDK community, like we've and people building on top of Regen. Shamba team actually pointed out a request in terms of like the gRPC error codes weren't necessarily correct in some cases, and so to improve the developer experience, we've made some fixes there and make sure that we're returning the correct gRPC error codes, so that if people want to implement their own messages based off of the error codes, that they can do so. We did like a lot of migrations in terms of updating to the latest version of Cosmos SDK 4.6. We previously had like a custom module manager built into Regen Ledger, and we've completed the migration to the latest version of the module manager in Cosmos SDK. Also to note, the experimental build is no longer going to be an option within 5.0 and moving forward. That's like a positive thing, because we've included all of the experimental features that we've previously been building out within Regen Ledger are now available as part of 5.0, the group module essentially being that last component. But the only thing that's not included there is CosmWasm. So we are discussing possibilities of like creating a separate release process, but it made development much more easier on our end to just remove the experimental build. And we're kind of looking at Cosmos SDK 4.6 as potentially the opportunity to re-implement some sort of experimental configuration that has CosmWasm enabled, or if the community, and our team decides to move forward with CosmWasm, then we're kind of looking at that next official release on the SDK side before we make any decisions around that. So that's it for Regen Ledger 5.0. I'm happy to answer questions, but maybe we should get through the presentation first and take field questions at the end.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Ryan, for that.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Validator form. Dan, do you want to take over on this? This is kind of your passion project.
Sure. Yeah, so basically I'm trying to, I create, as most of you probably know, I've been posting about this quite a bit in Discord. So I've created a validator form. It's basically used to gather information about our validator set, which is useful for not only R&D, but also the foundation and their delegation program and delegators themselves. So I'm currently in the process of gathering all of the data. I'm putting it in a Notion page for us. And once I have everything, I'll go ahead and make that public. And that way, all of the delegators and everything know who they're voting for, what the validators are contributing to the network itself. So if you have not filled this out yet, and I know there is still quite a few who have not, if you're a validator and you haven't filled it out yet, please go ahead and fill out the form. If you need the form, you can either find it in the announcements, or you can just DM me or tag me, and I'll send it over to you.
Rad. This is something really important to Regen Foundation too. I think that they're looking for a lot more transparency between the governing bodies that they're trying to usher through the Web3 experience and then our validator set. So really participating in this is just incredibly helpful for everybody within the Regen network umbrella, and it'll be good for you too to fill it out. I think you're going to see some positive outcome from that, I would expect. Yeah, I mean, just, yeah. Anyways, all right, so thank you, Dan. All right, and governance updates. Yeah, we already talked about Regen being in the marketplace now. Prop 20 passing was very exciting for all of us over here. And then the discussion to incentivize validators for chain services is still ongoing. Definitely chime in on that. Yeah, that one was started by somebody at the foundation as well. Will and Dan, you're behind that one too. Do you have any updates on that?
No.
Nothing new
Just
right now.
ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that form is kind of
Yeah.
what came out
Oh,
of that a little bit. So yeah, it's just kind of ongoing.
rad. Okay, cool. Well,
Unfortunately, I
interesting.
don't really have any updates for the foundation side of things.
Yeah. All right. Alrighty then. So that takes us to market liquidity report. So market cap this morning was 49 million. And then Osmosis, the Atom and Osmo pools combined were a little over 1 million, which is up quite a bit from last time actually. So that was cool. And then yeah, Regenerati News Hour happening this week. Last week they were talking about, I'm only halfway through, they're talking about something really cool though. It's like COP27. You can always listen to recordings if you can't chime in at that time of day, as I sometimes struggle to do. Yeah, so I think that's it for the presentation. So we can go to Q&A if anybody has any questions. Oh, wait.
Thanks, Harry.
I'm interested in that discussion you're having, Gregory, in chat there.
Yeah, Brandon had asked about DMRV stuff, so I was just trying to get a little bit more clarity about what he was interested in talking about. And there may be other questions as well if people want to pop them into the chat, just so we have a little bit of a list of things, or conversation topics if they're not questions. So Brandon, I'm still not exactly sure what you're meaning by buying tools. Do you want to speak to that? Okay. Well, so maybe it's useful just to sort of take a step back. DMRV is one of these buzzwords, which I'm personally feeling more and more curmudgeonly about because it gets used in kind of funny ways out there in the world. So I mean, I guess are we talking about decentralized monitoring, reporting, and verification, or are we talking about digital monitoring, reporting, and verification? So in the construct of digital monitoring, reporting, and verification, you might, have a software as a service tool that is providing sort of an Oracle information or other things. So our partners like Shamba or companies like Planet Labs, partners like OurSci, there's sort of different people who are approaching monitoring and the provision of monitoring and reporting tools. Some of them are some of them are doing it in an open way in which they're not necessarily monetizing the tool itself, but they may be monetizing sort of the quality of the data and the asset. So there's a lot there. We don't have any in Regen Network. There isn't like a marketplace that allows you to sort of like purchase a monitoring tool necessarily. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, that is helpful. I think I'm new to Zoom. Yeah, that is. I'm just trying to compose my thoughts with that data that you just gave me. So there's no tool that because I'm trying to figure out like each methodology has a way of being measured, recorded, and valued, and I'm trying to figure out what specific tool is being used to for each methodology, or the ones that are most popular, that are the most creditable.
Yeah, it's variable. I don't think the market has consolidated around sort of like a most popular tool yet.
Okay, because I have a little bit of experience with this. Like I'm also in the Evergreen Coin community, and we have a little program that pays people to do anything and that we think is environmentally, conscious, whether it's work or nature photography. And so like the main thing is human sensing and the phone just taking pictures. And then one of the guys, he record, or he weighs things with the buckets, the 5-gallon buckets. So it's like, I'm trying to think about, I know it's a buzzword and there's a working group, but I haven't really got much information out of them regarding DMRV, or it's like not very engaging from my point of view. And
Yeah,
Yeah,
there are
that's-
definitely, there are people doing like phone attestation processes. Currently, I think we maybe were chatting a little bit about this in Discord. Currently, the bulk of our science team effort is going to sort of institutional grade credits where satellite data or field agents collecting data with surveys, you know, or labs, you know, signing lab results and things are sort of coming together to create credits that are accepted in sort of like the corporate marketplace where there's
Got
an
it.
existing carbon market. So the bulk of those tools, you know, people might be using like Google Earth Engine or QGIS or a set of Esri tools in
Whoa.
order to sort of like gather and analyze data and then append it to the creation of an eco credit. And at the moment, we're focused. I mean, I think we have a lot of desire in this community to build a set of tools that make it very frictionless and easy for communities to kind of create their own credit classes. And also, we're focusing on kind of like these first generation of credits being sort of acknowledged and adopted by institutions in order to kind of create the trust halo so that they can also see the power of the more grassroots way of leveraging the same technology.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that. Like, I want to be like, because for us, not to be contrast or anything, but for us, we're able to see all the works and then judge it ourselves on its like if it deserves more out of the pool that we give to it, and I mean, I just want to see the work more closely. Like I like looking at environmental work. I think it's cool to look at. It's entertaining to me. And it gives me ideas on how I can apply myself going forward. Because I think I want the economy to operate on this type of level. This constant regenerative, like awareness, this constant view on how this plant grows or carbon being absorbed and, you know, accounting all this biodiversity stuff. Like I want to get closer to that and see the MRB aspects. You gave me some of the stuff that you said, that some words. I want to kind of look at those things, Google Engine and the other two things. I would like to look at that stuff if it's possible.
Yeah, QGIS is an open source
QGIS.
data analysis, like geospatial data analysis tool. Google Earth Engine is Google's hosted sort of analysis of satellite information and other things. And Esri is a very popular, although not open source, version of QGIS, essentially, where you can do geospatial analysis. And
how does Esri spelled? ES?
It's in the chat, ESRI.
Yes. Cool. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Paul, you were asking about market insights and market movements. Yeah. FTX is collapsing, I guess, or got bought or whatever. We'll see where the bottom is. I don't know. I mean, Regen's holding out pretty well, all things considered, and I'm excited that it just made these eco credits cheaper, and I'm gonna go buy some. I don't know what else to say. I was just offsetting my travel to Lisbon, and I was like, oh cool, I could pay in Regen and it's like 20% less. I don't feel a large degree of anxiety about it, Paul, but that might be some sort of strange, like Stockholm syndrome or something.
Alrighty, well, if that's it, 2 minutes to the hour, we can all wrap up and take an extra 2 before our next meeting or whatever we've got going on. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in this one, and have a good rest of your week.
Thanks,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Great call. Thank you.